Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about my plan versus God's plan. All right, so just like the title, just like I said, we're going to have a little chit chat video of just, how do we get here, and the things that I can take away from what I've learned with having your own plan, and then when God redirects you to go the plan that he had for you, and how at first that could be so disrespectful, but I'm so grateful. All right, so my plan was that I was going to be a fashion designer, or honestly a creative director. I wanted to be a creative director for a fashion house, and going into a space where I could, I loved taking something and then developing it into something else. And I thought I was going to travel the world and work for all these different companies, and stand next to Anna Wintour and be in the presence of Grace Connington, which I hate that she retired, but I understand she's up there in age. But so that was the dream. And I went to a trade school, so I was doing 16 units a semester or quarter, and I was working part-time, and I was an intern for a men's fashion designer. And so I was really striving for success, very ambitious, very driven, and I really just indulged myself into all things in that world for 3 years. In college, and then a couple years after. But I definitely, that was my plan. I wanted to be in that field. And I think I wanted to share just how the power of the tongue, what we say, what we speak over ourselves, and how that can really change the trajectory of where we're headed. And so, that's where I started. I was very ambitious, and I was just going. I was going to be a boss and independent, and just had a lot of things that I wanted to do and achieve, and not to say that they won't happen, but at the time it was I wanted it right then, right now, before I even said it. Even saying it's just a little too late for me. And so I will blame that on my age, but it was part of just my mindset. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, and they were very driven and ambitious. And so I will take it as that it wasn't a bad thing, but it just wasn't used in a healthier way, or a healthy way. And so that was the goal. And I remember when me and my now husband were talking about our futures, I was very clear and direct about, I don't want to be a stay-at-home wife. I don't want to just be cleaning all the time. And honestly, I didn't want to be a stay-at-home military wife, because there was this stigma around that. My husband served in the Navy, and so I thought that that wasn't going to be a part of my story. It would be my husband's in the Navy, but I have my life too. And you have to be careful what you say, because that's exactly what I ended up doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the time, I was young, and I had worked really hard. And so I was kind of waiting for my harvest to receive something because of what I had put in. But something shook me about 2 years after having my daughter. And that was, I was in quiet time, or I think I was in service, and I recognized that I never asked God if what I was doing and striving for is what he was striving for me to do. That was his plan. Not necessarily striving, but that was his plan for me. I just was this is what I'm doing, and this is where I've already had to go through the battle against the family, because I didn't choose to be a doctor or a teacher or a nurse. So I chose this path. I finally made something for myself. I'm not going to let it just go down the drain. But I truly didn't say, in a moment that I think that it could have just been a second of God, is this what you have for me? Is this what you want is this how I'm going to reach your people? It was a very self mindset. This is what I need to do for me. And obviously not mature in my faith, you know, grew up in the church, but like not, like I didn't have a personal relationship with God that was developed enough that I could trust asking him, is this what I'm supposed to do? And so I struggled with that a lot, even after the fact. And so basically where things changed was like, I got married at 22, and that's not shocking for me when I think about it in the long haul or looking back, because I'm an old soul. I'm a relationship type person. I love relationships, deep relationships that are enriching, that are going to grow. I'm not much of a person, not too much of a surface person, and just like having a date, like dating in that regard. I'm not a dater, or I wasn't a clubber and all those things. And so to be married and know that that was the person, this is the person I want to share my life with, it just fit. But children, I didn't have this picture. I didn't have a picture of the wedding dress and all that. And I didn't have a picture of like, oh, my kids are going to look like this and blah, blah, blah. No, I was like, I'll have 2 kids when I'm like 30. Like I had all this little plan. And it's like when people say, like, you make plans and God laughs. And that's exactly what I feel like it happened in a way. Like, not in a spiteful way, because I don't believe God is spiteful, but I was frustrated. Like, what? And so I had my oldest when I was 24 and a half years old, and it was just, it hit me in the pit of my stomach, because it just changed everything. I honestly, sometimes I think about it, and I felt like I was that stigma of like, I had a child when I was a teenager, and all my friends went off to college and went off to live off their life, and I was stuck being at home with my child. But I wasn't. I had already graduated college. I was already married, but I still entered into a season that didn't involve anyone else that was close to me in my friendships, in my circle. And so that automatically shifted my plan from that point. That was like I would say the shift, or the pivotal point of when things turned for me. And it turned for the better, but I definitely had a lot of mental and spiritual growing and maturity to do. And so you see my plan now, God's plan so far. I still tried to work. I still tried to do, like, own my own business, do different things while I was being a new mom and a new wife. And so, yeah, I want to be transparent. Like, I didn't take it easy, because I was one of those people who just like, this is my career. This is what I'm doing. I've done all the work. Why is it that now, God, you're shifting everything? Like, I didn't ask for this. But the reality is, at the end of the day, my life is not my own. And God has me here for such a time as this, for a plan and a purpose. And it's to do for others, not myself. I end up being fed by helping others, but I was in a very selfish place. And so I didn't recognize that. And so that was the first thing, or of like speaking life over yourself, or speaking the things that you think you're never going to do. Kind of be careful. I recognize that God has grace that is so abundant. And even though I was angry and frustrated at everyone else and everything else, God still was gracious with me and allowed me to kind of keep stumbling and still trying to work, still trying to strive for these career things that were going to give me some sort of identity in a way. Like, I strive to have the Tasha, the designer, Tasha, the independent boss lady or boss girl, just these labels. Like, I needed a label in front of my name to make me significant. That's truly what it was. And that's where I was wrapped up in this ball of my plan. And when God really just shifted things and I became a mother, and then growing in that, and then I would say not even in the last 2 years is where I started to develop a heart posture of like, this isn't about me. Excuse me. And like, it's just not, this is not about me. This is not about, what I intend to do for the next 5 years. Like, I think God does want us to have he gives those gifts to those who, you know, give them thought and give them plans, and like they're very detailed oriented, but it's always about like, how are we using this to still glorify the kingdom, or am I just doing this because this is what I want to do? So I realize now, as time has gone on, and now I am a full-time wife, and I am a homeschool full-time mama, and I love it. And I honestly, the day we decided, and I decided to take on the role of being a homeschooling mom, is where I actually entered into peace. Because no longer was I trying to strive for something that wasn't my call. I was no longer trying to have something in front of my name that made me, that identified who I was, or made me to be whatever I thought I needed to be. I prayed about it because I was like, you know, this is going to be a lot at first. Like anything that you first start, it's an undertaking, can feel overwhelming. But honestly, like when I say there was peace, like there was no, I don't think I should do this, or doubt. Like I didn't have any doubt. And so that's how I knew like this was God's plan, because God doesn't give us anything we can't carry, but God doesn't give us anything that we'd have to be fearful or worried or stressed about. Like if he has something for us, I feel like it comes with this surmount of peace and grace and love and hope. And so, yeah, that's really just what I wanted to share today for those out there that are plan-oriented, type A. I'm an Enneagram 8, I think, with a 7. I'm still learning all those things, but like I love details. I'm very over-analytical, and I like to write things down. I have journals and notepads, and I think that God knows the dreams and desires of our heart, but oftentimes we get shadowed in our mind of what we think and grasping for, and it's actually still a disconnect from where our heart should be and where our heart really is, if we really like peel back the layers. So I hope this encouraged you, for those who are planning, or those who are making a decision to be at home, and you're a new mama, or you've been a mama for a while, but now you're like, this is just, I'm going to be at home, and I'm going to take care of my kids, and I'm going to be present, and I'm going to be a full-time wife. And even though it doesn't look like the call of what culture looks like, it's the call that God has called over you. And so I just hope that you feel inspired in knowing that you're not doing this alone. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Also, please give this one a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe and share with your friends. Until then, I can't wait to see you guys on the next video.